The dalil is that he considers Queens to be what? People from Queens are UFOs, aliens. They're not from what? Brooklyn. Even though it's technically New York City. Everybody understand the point I'm trying to get to? So these are the things that you use to determine the city walls. Everybody clear on this? Back in the day, there was a wall around the city to keep invaders and marauders out. When there was war, they would besiege the city. Catapult. Try to breach the hole into the wall. Everybody understand this? Then they entered the city and conquered the city. Everybody understand this? Things are not like that nowadays. Allah knows best. Father Abdul Qawi.
So in the Hadith, when we talk about Abu Hanifa and he was going for 10 days in Mecca, do you think that Abu Hanifa was almost a starting point to say that he was traveling because he intended to go further, or it could just matters because of the distance? Because when I'm reading the Hadith, one thing I thought about is that was probably the starting point saying that he was going to continue to travel more. So, versus than him going to Abu Hanifa and coming back. So,
the question is, with regards to the Hadith about Dhul Hulayfa, and the Prophet ﷺ making at the beginning of his trip, and not the actual trip and returning. What I've understood from the Hadith is not he was going there and coming back, but the beginning of his trip. Either or. In most cases, or there's no doubt, there's no most cases, his trip wasn't Dhul Hulayfa. His journey was, but that is the beginning of the Safa. And according to that view, regardless of whether he stayed there, went back, if he made 2 rak'ah, that proves that he was what? A traveler. He went back to Medina, he had to keep going. Al-Muhim is that he was a traveler.
Okay.
So one could say, what we mentioned with the Jumhur, it's their interpretation of the Hadith, is that it wasn't his actual trip. Ghayat Safarihi we mentioned. They say his actual trip was further. So you can't make qasar on such a short trip. But that's not strong. Because the moment that he made 2 rak'ah proved that he was a traveler. Khalas, he's traveling. I have to go back. We're going back. I don't want to go no more. He didn't go back. He made 2 rak'ah already. Okay. So they say that no, like you said, that was only a pit stop. That was only a what? A pit stop. And those other ulama, such as Ahlul Dhahir, they say the trip can be what? That short. I have to go to Manhattan. I have to go to Camden, New Jersey from Philadelphia, or whatever the case may be, and do what? Pick up a piece of paper, drop off a piece of paper, and then what? Go right back. So from Philadelphia, if you're in central Philadelphia, you go on the Ben Franklin Bridge or the Walt Whitman Bridge, you're from Philly to Camden, and without traffic, 6 minutes on the bridge, if that. No longer than 10 minutes. You can go from Philly to Camden, come back over, you pay the tolls. You're paying a toll. You're driving across a large bridge. It's a big bridge. There's a lot of water under you. That's traveling. No matter how short the trip, what? Maybe. Where's the delil, the proof that you have to stay for such a long time? And it has to be such a long, burdensome trip. And this is one of the simplicities of the quote-unquote Zahiri madhab, that is consistent. The dalil is clear, consistent. And one of the inconsistencies and contradictions of those other madhabs is that here, this is a condition of the prayer because of this one hadith. And there, no, it really doesn't mean that. It means something else. It has to be the ad. Am I saying this?
So we take that hadith apparent as face value.
That's that style of those ulama. And that's the whole concept of the different fiqh madhabs. Is their styles of approaching the dalil. Their styles of what? Understanding it and approaching it. Everybody clear on this? Just like food. This the only thing that should be in a what? This bar. And others, they say what? No, there are other things that need to be in a what? A candy bar or a cookie. This is an industry. Every single cookie has to be the exact same. No flaw. Everybody clear on this or not? Oreo cookies, they're all supposed to be the what? The exact same. Because they have a specific rigid what? Formula they have to stick to. And the homemade cookie, the homemade Oreo, one is smaller, one is darker, one is like this. Those imperfections are a sign of what? Something that's homemade. They have different approaches how it should be. Restaurants have different approaches how food should be served. Everybody understand this or not? That's one of the differences of Abu Hanifa's way and what? Shafi's way is how the lens. Face value or something else. Everybody clear on this? Fadl Ahmed.
Like the newer introduced videos from Medina, did they have like the same virtue and blessings?
With regards to Mecca, Medina, they have the same virtues than the modern places?
Yeah,
Clear. Some say yes. Is that which was expanded has the same virtue of the original asl, whether it be the Prophet's masjid or other parts of Medina. The people consider it Medina. These parts have been annexed. It's now all Medina, has the same virtue. And others, they may say no. What's meant by the virtue of this masjid or the virtue of this place or the sacredness is the original place and distance and size and span in the time of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Clear on that? That's in brief. Allah knows best. We have any other time? You hearing okay, Talib? Allah best to hold on. May Allah make a purification for you. Fadal.
Shows GD from Fort Worth, Texas. I want to know, I want to own a barber shop. How should I do that Islamically?
Question coming from Fort Worth, Texas. I want to own a barber shop. How should I do it Islamically? Please go back to Mufti Q&A, on which we spoke on the issue of becoming an expert in finances and banking. The ruling of a Muslim working in a bank. The ruling of a Muslim working in a bank. We spoke on this issue. And we gave some details and shed some light. And Allah knows best. The virtue is only for Allah. I don't think that you're going to find in too many other places, if you're going to find in one source, in Arabic or in English, with regards to the necessity of making certain sacrifices to Islamicizing your income, Islamicizing your lifestyle. How many bad things can take place in a barbershop? Whether you're a barber or a hairstylist or whether you own a barbershop. People shaving people's beards, which is haram in al-Islam. You cannot shave someone's beard. Doing someone's eyebrows, haram in al-Islam, because of the proof of a kitab and sunnah. People listen to things, watch things, people sell things, all types of haram things take place in a barbershop. Let alone just idle talk, in which the barbershop is like the souk. You chew the fat and everyone talk the local gossip. This one, that one. You can make all types of moves and get all types of information on your enemies just by what? Sitting in the barbershop, let alone in the hair salon. And when she's under that thing for hours, yap, talking. Everybody understand people, they talk. Right or wrong, Sadiq, we in the barbershop, right? People talk about politics, they talk about Bible, God, Islam, Quran, 5%ers. Everyone's a scholar in the barbershop. So the barbershop, it combines a lot of vices. So how can you Islamify your barbershop and purify it if you don't have a license? If you don't have the necessary insurance on your building? If you don't have the necessary certification? And how can you get certification? How can you become licensed if you yourself don't go through certain haram things? Certain what? Haram things. Such as you knowing how to shave someone's face. Such as certain aspects and certain levels of insurance. Everybody understand this? And which you have to. And one may say, no, it's haram. You can't own it. You can't go through this. You can't get this license. You can't become accredited. You can't become certified. Okay, tight. No problem. Driving a taxi, they say it's haram. It's women in the car. You take someone to church. You take someone to the club. A dog is in the car. Okay, no problem. Working in the supermarket, you pass pork by. Cigarettes, haram. Working here is what? Haram. You security guard at the casino is what? Haram. You drive, or you work with sanitation. Don't you have routes, churches, haram places? They cannot function and stay open unless you do what? Abu Sayyid? So you're, in one way, you're assisting them in what? Sin and transgress. So what is a Muslim to do in America and to live? Let alone to thrive and to press on Islam. How can you survive in America? Or overseas. It's not just America, but we're talking about our country. What can you do if everything's haram? So the point is, there may be certain instances in which you may have to make certain sacrifices. Not just to make those sacrifices, but to Islamify your what? Your business. I want to drive a taxi cab. I don't pick up women without mahrams. I don't pick up undressed women. I don't travel to churches and to clubs. How can you do that if you don't have the what? The paperwork. And some of that paperwork involves certain things which are... Everybody understand this wisdom or this fiqh here? Everybody understand this? So we have to be realistic. We have to be what? Realistic. You have to be realistic. And it's one of the examples of certain fatwas, whether they come from the East or other parts, wherever they come from. And they're not tailor-made for the realistic lifestyle of the people receiving the translation of the fatwa. It's haram, you can't beg for money, you can't ask this, you can't, okay, tayyib, no problem. What are they going to do? Everybody understand this? So that's my advice with regards to owning a barbershop, or with regards to working as a barber, or any other type of business in which you wish to Islamify it. There's certain struggles and a cost that you have to pay to Islamify something living as a minority in 2018. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best. هذا سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.